What is up, ninjas? It's your favorite Mexican, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make dark plucks in the style of Rezz. Now, last week or about 2 weeks ago, I taught you guys how to make melodies like Rezz, which pretty much I told you guys SparkNote's version of that video is that you want to get out of key. You want to play a melody in a scale and get out of key here and there. So throw everything you learned in music theory class and throw it out the mother door. But of course, you want to do it strategically so you get a little bit of dissonance in there so that it sounds dark, like something is wrong. It's making you feel a little uncomfortable. That's the great thing about this style of music. It lets you do that and it sounds good. So now that you know how to make the melodies, I want to teach you guys how to make the sound so that you can scare people even more. Hell, by the end of this video, you should be able to make those damn CD soundtracks that they sell so that you can scare the kids coming inside your yard. So we're going to be doing this inside of Extra Serum, guys. Now, if you hear a lot of the Rezz plugs, they're all going to kind of like sound similar, and that's going to be either one FM, the wavetable vibe, or you might have the down sample vibe. Now, the down sample vibe is very easy to explain, and the best way I can explain it is going to be something like this.
Hey, what are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
Oh, yeah, just cooking some beats up, you know. Now, I'm thinking about dumping Ableton for FL Studio 20. It seems that feels a lot better.
You should have gone for the head.
What happened with Ableton?
I don't know. You know, I just fell in love with it, and I found Black Summer's using FL Studio, so maybe I need to use FL to be better.
Babe, what's happening? You okay?
Babe, I don't know, it feels so cold, Mr. Stark.
Oh, what the fuck? Hey, babe, what? What happened? What the fuck?
So the sound gets deteriorated in quality. Think of it like in the Avengers when Thanos snaps the finger and everybody starts to deteriorate. That's what happens to the sound. Eventually, when you hit the 0 on the down sample, it just, there's no sound because there's no damn bit rate. Wavetables are just going to be a sound that changes over time. So the wavetable, the view, the change of it just changes over time. Just like how we grow old, eventually you're going to see wrinkles coming up in here if you watch me on YouTube for long enough. Now, guys, at the end of this week, I am releasing a sound bank in the style of Rezz, 1788, you know, all that stuff. I don't know what genre it is, so if you know the genre, please comment it down below and educate me on that, because everyone keeps saying different names and I really don't know. But if you're in the market for these type of sounds, guys, make sure to check it out at the end of the week. I'll make sure to keep you guys updated on that, and let's get started with this tutorial. Alright, guys, so welcome inside of Serum. Now, if you follow my channel for a while, you probably know all the basics to this, but I am going to kind of explain it really fast and down to layman terms, just in case there's someone out there that doesn't know how to do synthesis. And don't worry, this is actually very simple. All right, so in order to create these style of Rezz plucks, again, the first thing that's very important is always shaping the sound. Even if you're making a dubstep wob or you're making like a certain sound, it's always best to shape the sound. You know what it needs to do, like let's say that, then you need to shape the sound that way. So then you have to pick either one. I want to shape with envelope, which it's always a good first start, or with an LFO. Now with the Rezz pluck, since it's so easy to do, really nothing complex going on in terms of the shaping of it, then we can go with the envelope. Now, first off, a pluck will always be pop, so we're not going to have that much sustain to it. Eventually goes down to a value of 0. So sustain goes to 0 so that we allow that to happen. Now, this is where it starts to get fun, because now with decay, we can control how punchy it's going to be or how long it's going to stick around for. Okay, so that's going to be the next thing that we kind of do. So if you want a really punchy pluck, okay, that's the way we're going to go about it. Now, the thing I like about the Rezz pluck is she has various variations for this, which that we're going to be talking about. But one of the things is once we have that sustain down, we have this decay, we can add this huge amount of release, which is going to make the sound a little bit more flowy. It sticks around, as you can see. So now this sounds really pleasing because we play, let's say, that D note, and it's still sticking around, but as we're switching notes, we're creating other saws playing at different keys, and they're kind of overlapping towards the end, and it creates this nice kind of flowy vibe to it, especially when we're not in mono legato. It's allowed to just play out. So if we have a long release, you're going to see eventually you get like just a bunch of sound because you have that long release. So release is going to determine that value. So how long do you want it to play out? And this is what I wanted to show in this video that I haven't really talked about in a lot of my sound design videos for you guys, is that technique, because they do this a lot in synthwave to create like those type of sounds, but I want to bring it in this kind of like dark environment. So once we have that, once we've shaped it, we're pretty much done here. Okay, just you gotta be really careful with it because it can overlap there. All right, now from here, it's time to pick our wavetable, guys. And this is the easiest way to do this, is you can start looking for wavetables. Now, Rezz likes to use a lot of the spectral ones, and the spectral wavetables just have that wavetable vibe. Like if you were to hear, you're like, yep, that was made with serum. Yep, that was made with wavetable synthesis. So any wavetable synthesizer will be good. And it creates this kind of vibe as you're gonna see. You want something that looks like this, very, very busy, kind of like, but that's gonna... That's gonna be that wavetable vibe. You instantly know it's a wavetable sound when you hear that. Now, wavetables, again, like I said, are created over time, so you can actually go and use FM to make these type of sounds. But again, if you can pick a wavetable right out of the get-go that you like, there's no reason to do a lot of FM. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. Okay, so I actually like the last one we had. Let's do maybe this one. All right, now from here, we do have the option of putting a filter on the sound, and this is useful if you don't want a lot of the highs in the sound, but you still want the lows. Now, this is where it starts to get tricky, because if I put this envelope here, lower the sustain like we did with envelope 1, and I put it on the cutoff, we lose the release, obviously. So we need to add it in, but the key thing here is that we got to put a little bit more than our envelope 1 has so that you can actually hear it. Okay, so that's going to be the vibe you get with the cutoff. And again, there's a place for everything. We can, and now from here, we can choose not to open it up all the way, so we get more of a darker. All right, so once we have that, the effects, think of it as a polish. Once you have the tonality of the sound down, you like the way it sounds, then work on the effects, because the effects are going to bring this to life. A bit of reverb. Okay, with reverb, you have access to that size, which is the size of the room the reverb is in. Usually the size knob inside of Serum is going to control your early and late reflections, which usually indicates what kind of room you're in. Okay. Decay, I don't need to explain, it's how long it lasts. Then we have low cut for the reverb. So a lot of times you don't want lows. Let's say you're reverbing something that has very low frequencies in it, and you don't want that. You only want the high part of the reverb. This is going to cut off all that low reverb. And you also have one for the high. If you want to see what it does, just put the mix all the way at 100. So you can kind of hear, okay, the reverb. That's how it's doing. So you can pick what kind of reverb you like from there. All right, so there we go. All right, so from here, we also have access to delay. Beautiful. And it just keep it very simple. I mean, you can add chorus, flanger. But usually the more you start to add, it's kind of like you start to kill the sound unless you do it like right, or that's what you want to go for. So a lot of times just simple reverb and delay can do the trick. Even chorus can make this a little bit stereo and give you more of that cool little vibe. All right, so pretty much that's going to be kind of like the basics of what we want to do. But like I said, there's various styles that she makes. Another cool thing is going to be distortion with a downsample. This is the Rezz effect, as I like to call it, because every damn song she used to make back then had that fucking effect, which is just, you know, it's going to kind of, again, deteriorate the sound. But if you use it at a very low portion, you start to get like this nice little transient on the top that is a very pleasing kind of high frequency. That's going to give us that kind of vibe there. Now from there, you know, if we go with a saw, that sounds a little bit more like... All right, now the thing here is that also if we want the sound to remain the same constantly, we got to turn this RN phase down, and I recommend you do that. If you're not going to be putting unison on the plucks, which a lot of times hearing Rezz's plucks, I don't hear a lot of detunement going on like this. You know, but if you want that, you can add it. Again, at the end of the day, I'm teaching you guys how to do this so that you can do it yourself and switch it any way you want. Okay, so you can definitely create some really gnarly stuff, really dark stuff, random as no play in there. Okay, So that's going to be pretty much the simplicity of it, as you guys saw. And we can choose to just get rid of the filter if we want, no delay. So it's just like that. But let's get into other things. Let's say that we want to go for more of the bell, more of that kind of stuff. Well, that's when we can use kind of FM synthesis to our advantage. With FM, what we're going to do is route FM from B here, and we're going to move the sound down so that we don't hear that. And that's because this one is going to influence this, and we're just using it for that value of this routing in here and influencing the way this is going to look. So once you have this, think of it as a wavetable in a way as well, that you're creating this new look to the wave itself. If we resample this to oscillator B, as I'll show you here, okay, and let's do, yeah, it's going to be resampled oscillator B there, and we move it. As we put this FM up, at that exact moment we were at right now, this is how this looks now. So we're changing the way that wavetable looks, and you can see FM modulation is frequency modulation, so that means that sine wave is going to start to appear more. It's going to get a lot faster. So you start to get more higher harmonics out of it, and you can kind of see, okay, here we have more sines. So what we're going to do now is just do that. And when it comes to FM and creating like Plucks with FM, it's actually a lot easier than creating the wubs because we don't need to add movement to this. And right there, it might sound a bit, yeah, but once you start to shape the sound, that's when it starts to take a little bit of a toll. Let's put a bit of decay and release. And now we're starting to get that. Now we're going to put the mono legato on without, sorry, legato and always on without mono so that we can get the slide. Okay, so once we have that, there are a couple of options you have here. The first option is that you can go up an octave on this guy here. You're changing here the FM ratio. So at 0/0, you're at 1:1 FM ratio, which gives you nice sound. But if you want to go for more higher bass frequency FM, or you're still playing that D1, let's say, and you're not going up an octave, but you still want it to have higher harmonics, then that's when you can increase the pitch ratio or the FM ratio. So let's say we like this sound. You can kind of hear it sounds more like a glass hitting. Okay, that one's really, really pleasing. It could be like an ASMR video, dog. And we can add more release to it as well. Get rid of the filter. You get that. So that's why the filter is very important. Yeah, that doesn't sound, yeah, but here. And from here, you would add your standard effect. Okay. And add distort down. I suck at playing with the keyboard, but you can kind of get the idea that what we're trying to do here. And it's super cool because, again, this opens the doors up. It's a lot of fun to do these kind of sounds because you just start switching stuff. Like you can switch this wavetable to different things. And you just get different vibes. Now, the last tip I'm going to give you is if you want a pluck that's sort of like an ARP, so we can do that changes over time. And I'm going to apply an arpeggiator from Ableton here. And you want it to change over time, that's when you can start to apply like an LFO to the FM. And you got to be careful here not to overdo it either. And do it at a very slow rate. Turn the twig off, make it in off mode so that it doesn't start in the beginning always. That way you get that movement. And then from here, just implement like a sine wave or something. And that will really help. Because now as we are playing the sound, it's going to be moving left and right. So here we're going to have it going down. So if we hear that, let's do like a nasty. You can see the sound starts to change. I think this was a bad example putting it here, but putting it on a wavetable really does add a bit of change to the sound, especially if the wavetable changes a lot. So we can kind of try that one there. And then you can increase the speed of that change if you want, so that way you get different. So there's a lot of fun to be had once you know how to do it. It's not that difficult, guys. Again, I want you guys to try it. If you watch the video on how to make melodies like Rezz, try making your own plucks for it and see how it turns out. It's not that hard as you see, guys, and it's all about experimenting. Sound design is about experimenting. The part I can teach you about sound design is going to be, okay, shape the sound. That's something that everyone's going to do when creating a pluck. Picking wavetable and FM. But the key thing here is experimentation, using different wavetables, blah, 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 blah. That's where you start to kind of discover new sounds that you can use for yourself, because I get that question asked a lot. Yo, Sen, how do I find my own sound? It doesn't find you, don't find it, it finds you. As you're experimenting and doing stuff randomly, you're gonna have moments where you're like, aha, you know, happy mistake, happy accident, but then you're gonna be like, that's my pluck, like it sounds unique and I can use it in a song. So a lot of times you do have to invest a little bit, guys, but at the same time, you know, try and save that experimentation at the end of a song. So produce your track out with presets or with sounds that you know work already, and then after that you can focus on experimenting with the sounds to see if you can get them to sound a little bit more unique, a little bit better. That's going to be my best tip there. Now, again, if you guys are in the market for these type of sounds, guys, I've been developing a sound bank for you guys. It's going to contain at least 100 presets in the style of Rezz music or down tempo, mid tempo, which is Sappho sound kind of stuff, 1788, which are going to sound very dark. You know, stuff like that. Always mod wheeled so that you guys can play around with it. So make sure to check it out if you want to support this channel. And with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned something new today. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for a video. If you guys want to leave me tutorial suggestions down below in the style of Rezz 1788, that style of music, make sure to leave a question in the comments. And if I like it, if I feel like I can teach you, if I can teach you properly, I'll make a video on it. But you guys take care. You guys have an amazing day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow again.